No, I think we were ending on the note that we hadn't actually had a chance to talk to Aubrey yet.
No.
Oh, okay.
So with all that being
Aubrey
said,
attempt
we're
to
going to
be
go ahead and start it out. So we'll run the intro, and then we'll try to flow into the session. So join us for tonight's episode of Thousand Blossom Secret.
Aeons ago, the cruel prince of 1,000 blossoms was imprisoned for his crimes against creation. His great power, which even the creators had learned to fear, fell into legend. The gatekeepers of Adalis, desperate to find a new weapon and defeat their undead foes, set him free. Now, free from his bonds, the prince refused to defend the Empire, calling it a vulgar affront to the design his father had intended. Corrupted by the prince, the gatekeepers betrayed their emperor, and the Great War was lost. Now, 7 years after the fall, this thriving utopia rots like a rancid corpse. The few who yet tend the tiny flicker of hope cling to whatever remains of their desolated home. These are their stories.
Alrighty. Intro dunded. Stuff. You're ready to roll. We're ready to roll.
Are we ready to roll?
We're ready to roll, but Squeegee has to not be muted first.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
Boom.
The silent DM.
So, as I was saying,
This mime performance brought to you by...
wouldn't they be like sponsored by a glove company? Don't you think? Like the
Probably.
I was just thinking of what it would be like to have a mute DM playing for or running a game for a bunch of deaf players.
We'll
A lot
do
of
that
sign
one day
language.
just to see.
Yeah, I would just be like, yeah.
So, Dudley had just gone for his revelation, right? He just had his sins cleansed.
Oh, yeah. That was great.
Yes.
And from what I remember, the Otto Octavius got kind of welcomed into the order as a brother, and the other people that had been trying forever had still not been. So he was super rubbing that in somebody's face, if I remember right.
Trying
Yeah,
not
fingers.
to.
Trying not to? You tried
Trying.
pretty hard, too.
Yeah, it was unsuccessful.
Like, what's really sad is you've been doing this for years.
Oops!
Okay. And
Yeah,
I had discovered that my uncle that I've been looking for had traveled northwards to another town, and we were going to be. I wanted to head in that direction. That was the concept.
The party's next objective is to head north. But you're not about to pass up the ability to like find out why the hell Aubrey is alive, because he's supposed to have died.
That's right.
7 years ago.
That's right. There was
Oh.
halfway. I wanted to go to the town of Worthington, which is apparently where my uncle had gone, and there was a tavern on the way called the Crimson House that was not advised to stay in. There you go.
Correct. So you have the story that we know about Aubrey is that Aubrey was Emery's best friend.
Mhm.
Aubrey was the son of the head of the Order of Adonis. Is it Adonis or Adolis? I think it's Adolis, isn't it?
I think it's Adalis, but we've been saying Adonis.
Adalis.
It's
Adolis.
Adalis is what it actually is. Yeah.
Adolis are very small. I will never screw that up again. So he was the son of the high priest of the Order of Adolis. And it was the high priest and his inner circle that performed the ritual that summoned the Prince of 1,000 Blossoms
Correct.
into the world. Or rather, freed him from his eternal imprisonment after he had been imprisoned for crimes against all of reality.
Yeah, that whole normal thing.
Yeah, that all.
You know, that whole chestnut.
I've been there. I've been there.
Yeah, who hasn't? Am I right? Cliche much?
Look, if you wanted a game without cliches and like common tropes, you came to the wrong. My entire existence is looking for the golden opportunity for that trope.
I'm kidding.
So then, he was supposed to be dead, and part of the angst that we had learned about was that Emery was the last person to see him alive, unless you count the people who killed him, because he handed Aubrey over to the inner circle that night, not knowing that's what he was doing. They probably had like, dinner to catch, or like, we'll talk about that thing tomorrow. And then there wasn't an Aubrey tomorrow. There wasn't even a tomorrow, really. Tomorrow didn't really happen.
Yeah, there was an apocalypse. Good times.
As you do, that whole chestnut.
It was a Thursday.
And so 7 years, Emery's been walking around with that on his shoulders, being, a sad boy.
Yeah.
At least now we know why he's so sad all the time.
Well, I mean, we know part of why he's so sad all the time. We have not even. There are other reasons that Emery.
When you go to a therapist.
Yeah. I don't want to go to that therapist.
Emery needs a few of those. And that's just from the stuff that we've already written, and not the stuff that like Satch and I will cook up halfway through the campaign based on the roleplay that's already happened. So we found Aubrey in a cage, being tortured, interrogated, cursed,
bothered,
black magic, something, by Emery's sister's friend. I really
go deep.
I just like grabbed Emery and just like crucified the motherfucker on this plot. That was what I did. Is the next plot also supposed to be mean to you, or is the next plot mean to somebody?
I hope so, because that gives me more sadness.
I think everyone's just being mean to you is the thing, isn't it?
No, the next plot is mean to you and you. Okay. I picked 2 special victims from the party for every adventure.
What was the other victim?
This one
Don't spoil it.
was you and you, actually.
You were randomly selected twice.
So, Aubrey, you guys brought Aubrey back. He's alive. He's strong-willed enough that he was able to actually fight through the curse that you had seen eating the Pelorian assassin alive. On his own, like without needing assistance or like writing back and forth, and he managed to figure out some of what was going on, and then he managed to like force of will his way through. But in the process, he had determined, I think it was that Hjorthurk was Emery,
Mm-hmm.
Otto was Lydia,
Mm-hmm.
The donkey was Paul.
I have no idea what Paul is doing here.
But you guys got it back to Pelorian Church, where he's been like deposited for the sake of healing. That will take a day or 2.
All right.
During which time, Oberdon has been going through a bad version of The Hangover, trying to trace his uncle's steps.
Yes.
Eventually leading you out the road up north past the Crimson House.
You do know that because we were specifically told not to go there, this is almost a guaranteed fact that we're going to at least stick our head in the door, right?
Oh, obviously. I mean, you have to check to see if you're hungry. So, it'll be 2 days. You guys will be so sick of potatoes. Emery, however, has a spell.
Yeah.
And I will say the village has enough resources for you to buy the proper inscription materials.
You see, the problem with that is that
Can't
Emery
read.
doesn't personally feel he deserves more than potatoes. He just wants to know how the spell works.
You might not deserve more than potatoes. We
But
do.
no one else knows that he has.
God, you're so
Someone else
selfish,
knows that
Emery.
he has the spell to transfer. This is the weirdest party tension I've ever seen start to brew up in
Yeah.
a campaign.
So, all you know is I have an important document, and thank Arthur for it. No, I think you.
I'm regretting. I'm ruining the day I gave it to you.
Gorbad the player is. Oberdon doesn't know.
Yeah, I'm ruining it. I should have kept it for myself. Yeah.
So, a couple
Oberdon
of days
gave
of,
no.
of eating potatoes,
about
drinking
the,
potatoes with side orders of potatoes. We'll go by.
Yep.
Yum.
Light on splashed.
I don't eat
Splashed
anything,
potatoes.
so I'm good.
Oh yeah, you don't suffer like the rest of us do.
I'm a breatharian. I breathe air, I live. That's all I know.
Breatharian.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you like take in power of lay? How does that work?
Yeah, I just breathe in.
No, he lives on a diet of oxygen.
That's literally all I do. I don't need to eat or drink. You know?
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure stuff right there. Just focus on your breath.
That's both of your characters in both campaigns that do not need to eat or drink.
Yeah, I know.
What are the odds?
Them animals. Yeah.
So,
But one of them is undead, so that's not the same.
One of them has no desire to do anything. The other has no desire to do anything with the party.
right.
Just duds.
So, do we
And Otto.
do we have anything else we want to do here in this little hovel before we move head north?
I think you were waiting to hear from Aubrey, who's being cured, but you need something to do in those 2 days.
Right.
So now that we have the amount of time frame, that's precisely where I was going. Was what are we doing here, if anything? If you're just waiting for Aubrey, that's cool. We can fast forward, but I don't want to fast forward past anybody. Otto might need to, like, I don't know, slowly suggest to the local monks to pen his name in every legend that has ever existed, or.
I mean, there would be a little bit of that. Yeah, I think my motivation at this point would be kind of what I did last time, as far as making sure that word of our good deeds are starting to fester, if anything, more than that.
You know who would do the most good job of spreading the good name of the party?
Who's that?
I think her name was Susie, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
She's very motivated to gossip about your more appreciable traits,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
So roll me skills. I need to pick a skill.
I like
Roll me
that.
diplomacy.
Oh, not again. Okay. Let's see if I can do it without being able to select myself here. Oh, I can. Yeah. Okay. I got a 11 minus 1, which is a 10 overall.
That's good enough. Like, this is not a difficult task. Basically, knowing that she is just, like, obsessed with you, right?
Yeah.
You'll be able to, just kind of auto your way through that and have the conversation just continually be about the great things you've done,
Okay.
And then, like, as soon as you have to go for the evening, right? Always exit the stage before people want you to exit the stage.
Oh,
like,
of course.
that's rule number 1. And
Leave it wanting more, baby.
yeah, so you leave Susie alone before she wants you to go, and that'll get the gossip machine going. And over the course of 2 days, Otto will have turned this town to be like brewing and brimming and overflowing with gossip about you guys, most of which is probably not true. Not because Otto is being dishonest, but because that's the nature of the gossip machine.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, like, it was a great and vile devil, like a pit lord or some stuff in the woods.
Could have been.
Could have been,
I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm just saying what I see,
And 2 days will go by unless somebody else has something else to be doing. Is sad boying?
Sad Boy is actually trying to study in the times that he's not thinking about what he's going to say to Aubrey, which is hard. So it goes back to studying and, easy things like, transmutation of biological substances into, other
there are rules in the player's handbook for transferring spells into spellbooks.
Okay.
And that would be the best way for you to decipher the actual spells, because the way that I can't believe I know this lore, because this is some fucking obscure shit. A scroll, right? So when you memorize a spell, the whole Venetian magic system is that you actually cast the spell almost all the way.
Yeah, and then
And the verbal
you have
somatic-
one trigger word.
Yeah, the verbal, somatic, and material components listed for the spell are actually the last moment of the spell cast, and that's why you prepared Fireball 3 times as opposed to once.
Yeah.
Right? And scrolls are the same thing. They're just prepared.
Mm.
And you copying the scroll into your spell book is your learning the spell's function.
Yeah.
Because of the way all that worked. So rather than charging you spellcraft to invent a spell that you have a scroll for.
Yeah. No, that's more, it's like his curiosity gets the best of him, rather. He likes to understand how magic.
Yep.
Not
so
just that magic.
The mechanics that I think most accurately represent that process is actually copying it into a spellbook.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then once it's in your spellbook, that's also your version of that spell.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you have to reverse engineer what's in the scroll and then engineer the way that your mind needs that spell to work.
Yep.
I have played a lot of wizards.
Yes.
A lot of wizards.
Perfect. So yes, that is basically the function of what Emery's been up to.
Yep. Okay. So we'll look up those rules at some point and make that happen. And for now, we'll just say it's in your spellbook.
Okay.
Honestly, he's waiting patiently. He will look at some of the documents that Emery's done with to see if he finds any reference to Pink Lightning. But otherwise, he's not doing anything.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything Pink Lightning in what you looted, Emery. The Pink Lightning was the tiefling that you guys fought.
Yeah.
It's not technically not a pit lord, but Otto doesn't know that for a fact. And Oberdon, you're doing hunting your uncle. Anything else?
Well, I'm probably going to be waiting until everybody else is done to go hunting Uncle. What I'm probably going to do is between frequent trips into Grok's Tavern for splashed potatoes and baked potatoes, because they're definitely the best. I'm going to wander around town offering my services, doing burials, saying prayers to anybody that has departed loved ones that are missing, whatever.
Roll me religion.
Roll you religion.
Religion.
Fair enough. Let me go ahead and go ahead and pull my character sheet out real quick. Alrighty.
So I live right next to an airport, and every now and then, because and when I mean right next to it, I mean no right next to it. I drive for 5 minutes, and it's not just any airport; it's JFK. So every 2 seconds there is a plane landing, right there, right, and it does not fail at least once or twice a week. The sound of the plane landing will be slightly different, and my entire brain goes, "Oh no, a plane is about to crash into my house." That happens.
13 on the religion check.
13. All right. So not only do you do what you do very well, but you earned yourself a bit of a name for being the person who does this in these parts.
Alrighty.
You left your mark, and they will look past your gruff attitude and your poor bedside manner, and they will remember the kindness of the deeds you did, and not the
bluntness of how I did them.
Yeah, not. Okay, so a couple days will pass, and it takes two cycles of Paylor's blessing upon the earth for his magic to finally cleanse Aubrey in full. During this time, Emery, I assume you would have wanted to check and see how Aubrey was doing. You would have been rebuffed by Big Mama. Big Mama is very big. Big Mama no. Big Mama doesn't argue. Big Mama tells you how it's going to be, and then that's how it is. And Big Mama is hovering over Aubrey mostly as like a bit of a smothering mother hen. And you are not allowed near Aubrey during this time. She's very particular about her rights.
It's understandable.
However, Big Mama will find you at Grok's Tavern across the way. She will actually seek Emery out first. I assume Emery's not alone.
No. Yes. So.
No, we're there. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody's in the tavern just for the sake of everything being in the tavern.
Okay.
So after a moment, the door to the tavern will fly open, and there will be big big mama. She will stand in the doorway dramatically.
Earning a
She
dramatic gaze. Yeah.
She says, Emery,
Yes.
he's awake.
Well, it's about time. Go
I
see to him,
agree.
Emily, so that we can get off to this Worthington place.
Okay. Right. I'm gonna just pick up my stuff. I'll probably have a scroll open and a book open, and I'm just gonna make my way over.
So she will waddle along with you towards the church. And she says, I'm very curious, this Aubrey boy. Can't quite place my finger on it. He's either been through quite a lot, or hasn't been through enough.
I would probably argue the first.
You found him in the woods, yes?
This time around, yeah.
He's done this before.
No. He's been missing quite a while.
And you found him in Westville.
In the woods, which are they north of?
The woods around Westville, yeah.
In the woods around. So yes, not where I expected to see him, no, and not in the circumstances.
The omens are poor. I fear your friend is in desperate need of help, and I don't know if it will be enough.
No. Do you have like any brothers or sisters or anything?
I did.
Did?
Most of us didn't survive the shattering.
Right. Yeah, I understand. I don't want to have to do that again.
Then I would keep him close.
Either close or far.
He has a terrible case of generosity.
We're not taking him with us, right?
Well,
I actually didn't know that Hjorthuk was following along.
I thought we were all going to see him.
Oh, I didn't go for sure.
Yeah,
Oh.
Emery was. If
my
Hjorthuk
fault.
wants to tag along, that's cool.
If Dorthrug is just suddenly there, that'd be a really good moment for us. So yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I can imagine. Well, I thought we were all going, so Arthur absolutely was going because we were going to see him for answers, right?
Yeah.
So I would have been following along quietly, I guess. So
yeah,
you guys
and
didn't
like you just
there.
pipe up and Big Mama looks. Now Big Mama's like 7 feet tall and about as wide. And you are a dwarf. And so
Yeah,
you
that's
say,
what I said.
"I'll bring it in with us." And she looks around. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I just. Last I recall, the world thinks he's dead, correct?
Yeah.
So would us bringing him around, attracting attention of a world famous, not so dead person, be right for us?
It's about the equivalent of, I don't know, walking around with me or Oberdon even, or rather about the equivalent of walking around with a crazy halfling boy who thinks that the world is still a good place. That Tonsley fellow in the pink shirt.
No
I've heard
offense,
very good things about him. I think you'll be okay in his hands.
but also no offense, but none of the other people you mentioned are world famous, still alive dead people.
She looks at Emery, and she looks down to Hjorthuk, and then she decides not to say anything unless Emery says something.
The thing is, unless you knew him personally, I don't think you'd recognize him right off the bat. And if he just did a little bit of disguise, I don't think anyone would know. Anyone who does recognize him will probably be more confused than anything else.
Okay, I mean, I'm just if we're to do things, it would be unfortunate if his identity was uncovered and put us in a bad place.
I can tell you have not walked the surface for long, dwarf.
You humans surprise me constantly.
Here, after the shattering, there is only a bad place. It is a question of who you are in your bad place with.
Sounds like big capitalism. Sorry.
Either way, I won't enter unless you want me to.
I have no reason to turn you away, little one. I would think that the blessings of Palor would be interesting.
I'm just gonna go quiet and follow.
She will decide that whatever she said must have been mildly racist and not keep talking. So she'll walk into the church and in that armor, which is now polished and actually well taken care of. I mean, in so much as it can be, it's battle scarred and it's marred by use, but it still was ceremonial more than practical in its purpose. And with the blade that has like the wings of an angel for its hilt, and the signature white and black gems of Adalis. And it's like the blade of this the flat of this blade is like a mirror. It's perfectly reflective, and there are sigils carved into it. And he is sitting there with his hands on his blade and his head bowed in prayer. And then the floorboards of the church will creak in protest of Big Mama's entrance and announce her wherever she goes. He will stand up and he will sheath his blade on his back and he'll look up and then he will turn around and he's a whole new guy from when you last saw him. He's never lacked for that almost ignorant level of optimism. Whether that optimism was for the sake of it will turn out well or I'll get to kill whoever made it not turn out well has varied over the course of his life. From what you remember of Aubrey, there were three things that mattered. The first of which is smiting, the second of which is alcohol, and the third of which is the innocence that he fights to protect, which is mostly embodied by Lydia. And he will turn like this is the guy who from a very young age wanted to be a knight in shining armor and then actually got to be one for all of a month before the apocalypse happened.
Yeah.
He says, Emery and Hjorthurk.
Oh, you remember? Hi.
This is you got me out of a spot.
Don't act like it's the first time.
He makes the motion of I'm raising a drink to that, but there's no drink in his hand. It's such a natural thing for him to do.
Yeah. So, do you know exactly what? How?
How what?
You're dead. You've been dead.
I've been what?
For 7 years,
Whoa! Whew. What? Okay. Whoa.
You've been dead for 7 years. By all record, by what's been told, by what my writ of dismissal said, you're dead.
You're what?
They
wrote you off?
used me. Have you seen The World?
No.
Huh. Well, I'm sure you'll find a way to like it, but they summoned the Prince of 1,000 Blossoms using a ritual and your blood sacrifice. And said that it was me so they could get away with it, which didn't work because I'm still part of the Order. So, some short-sightedness, a lot of short-sightedness. I would not have put you in the room had I known. I'm sorry.
My crowning. They killed me?
Yeah.
Was it Dad?
Yeah.
Did they live?
I don't know for sure.
He's gonna look at Yorthurk.
He doesn't know anything.
I know plenty, but I was underground at the time.
He's really good with the other stuff.
Except rescuing you, I was quite useless, to be 100% honest.
7 years.
It's been a while. And that hand's still on 2 years. Unfortunately, all this time really has to offer you there is smashed potatoes.
That sounds good right around now.
So you've had it?
Nope. And he'll...
It's shit.
He'll turn to Big Mama. He says, thank you. I apparently have some catching up to do. And she turns, she says, I do only that which Palor has already asked of me. You owe me nothing, young one. He says, be that as it may, if you could do me the favor of sending word next time you need something. Well, if you happen to find something to eat other than potatoes, that would be a start.
Oh.
Right. I'll keep an eye out. Sure.
Let's go back to the tavern at least.
I need a drink.
Yes. Big Mama.
Yes.
You wouldn't happen to be... I know you're inclined in the divine matter here.
Yes.
But do you have knowledge of the arcane? Are you...
I'm afraid not.
Okay. Seeing as I've had my use with it, this might be very important to the future of the town. See it to the right hands. I'm gonna give over the scroll that's been copied into my book.
She'll take the scroll. She says, Looks like something for the Brotherhood. Yes.
It's a transmutation spell for potatoes
What?
into not potatoes.
And she'll kind of like lean back and pull the scroll into her personal space a little more. She says,
Guard it with your life.
"Thank you, Emery. You're a good man. You have lifted a great curse from these lands."
Don't know if it's funnier that it was phrased that way or that that's the first time in my life anyone's called me a man. Thank you. Okay.
Like at this point, like Aubrey is like, Emery, exit stage right before you say that. Like,
Aubrey, you don't know what it's been like.
and Aubrey will look down at the dwarf. He says, fuck it, I'm a racist. You want a drink?
Let's go to the tavern. After you.
Otto.
Yeah.
So this time coming back from the church, as I assume you are assuming your appropriately dramatic perch in the tavern, leaning up against the door like you were before.
Of course.
This time, a dude strolls by that just radiates purpose, and his purpose is that bar.
Okay.
And he is wearing shiny armor and a big sword and a blue cape. He's got hair down to his shoulders, blonde.
Okay, so he seems important.
He seems important, and he sticks out because this is a potato village.
Right. Yeah, okay, so he walks by me, I'm assuming.
Yeah, he walks by, and then Hjorthurk walks by, and then Emery walks by.
Okay. So if he walks by and I don't say anything, the other two, I'll say, hey, do either of you guys know who he is? Is he with you? Did you meet him?
That's Aubrey. We just saved his life.
In Otto's defense, his armor was muddy and bloody and stained.
That's what I was playing at, yeah.
Yeah, and also like he was cursed, tortured, and ruined, and now he's like alive and
That's
not. Yeah. The difference is meant to be that dramatic.
Wait, that was Aubrey? What did you do?
We trusted in Big Mama.
Wait, wasn't Big Mama the big plant monster?
No.
I'm pretty sure it was, but okay, I'll just let that go. Okay, so is he like is he teaming up with us now? I mean, that'd be it seems like a pretty good guy to have on our side.
I think he's on our side.
All right. Okay, so what's the next move? I like to move. I like to plan it out. Well, not really plan, just have some sort of action and what?
You two would get along so well.
Well, yeah. I mean, I get along with pretty much anyone I come in contact with, so that doesn't surprise me.
I'd like to take notes. Sorry. What I mean to say is we should probably all talk that out.
Yeah, yeah, because I think everyone else is in the tavern right now, right? Squeak.
Everybody's now gathered, and Aubrey is walking directly to sit down right next to Oberdon, who I assume has his ales and his splashed potatoes.
Yeah, probably just chowing down on an oversized baked potato and periodic swigs of ale with the splashed potato whiskey chaser.
And he sits down, and then he waves to Grok, and Grok waves, and he looks over at you. He says, I'll have what he's having, too.
I'll just do the one.
And he says, Emery says, a lot of stuff has happened. He's like, look, he's just talking to you.
Well, first of all, welcome. Seems as though you've sort of been out of the loop for a while. Don't know if anyone fully explained to you, but we did in fact save you.
And he'll like reach out and he'll put his hand on your shoulder.
Yeah.
He taps and he says, "Good work."
Thank you. Please don't mention it. It's not a problem. Are you sort of? I kind of get the vibe that you're kind of an important guy around here.
He says, "I'm apparently more important than I know."
Yeah, Emery kind of thinks that you're this kind of larger than life guy. I don't really know you that well. No offense or anything like that.
Emery remembers one too many drunken nights at the bar.
Oh well, if we aren't all guilty of something like that, so don't worry about it. Don't worry. You're amongst friends. You're in a safe space here. Okay, you don't need to feel judged.
One too many. You led the entire bar in you made up words in that song. There is no reason anyone should have been able to sing along. It doesn't make any sense.
It's the flow, man. You get enough of it flowing and people just...
What is Scaramouche? That doesn't work.
He says, and yet it did.
Aubrey, why don't you help us by telling us what you remember specifically about these past supposed time that you were missing?
Well, and then he turns, he looks at Oberyn and says, "That's what I was hoping to talk about."
Well, I'm not entirely sure why you're even still alive. So, yes, why don't you start talking?
He says, "To be blunt, you seem to trust me the least. That makes you the one whose opinion I need to hear."
Well, under the circumstances, the last we knew, you were shamefully sacrificed to bring about the repentation of a very, very dark and dismal demon. Mistakes were made indeed, but from what I understand, your body and soul was given up for this cause, and yet here you are 7 years later in some strange underground cave, seeming remarkably well for a dead person.
He says, "If I am me."
Well, that's exactly what I'm trying to ascertain. I don't know that you are you.
Well, last thing I remember is going in for my crowning. I had spent months preparing, practicing the forms, memorizing the scriptures, so I could become knight errant and go do my thing.
You had a promising career ahead of you from what I remember.
This is, yeah, my dad was definitely an advantage, and I took full advantage of it. Dad was supposed to run the ceremony, and I don't remember what happened when I went to the door. I remember saying goodbye to Emery, and then I wake up. I've got a bottle in my hand. I'm not far from here, and I'm walking down the road. Somebody gets the better of me, knocks me out. A hangover. I wake up in a cage. That, how did you put it? Bitch wanted to know how I was still around, and she spent, I don't know, after the third or fourth session, I lost track of time. A good long while. I saw a lot of people come in, tore them to pieces from the inside out, she did. Sometimes with spells, sometimes with her bare hands, sometimes with her minions. Kept me alive.
You say a lot of people came in. Are you referring to when we were in the cave?
Yeah. Traveling merchants. I guess bandits.
But I thought the Gotning was only a month and a half long problem here.
It felt like ages.
So there's
no sun underground, man.
Oh, I know that all too well. But,
yeah, my bad.
But you have no recollection from the time that you were being prepared to now, this 7 or so years later.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I woke up and just figured I had finished my crowning and gone on a bender. But
And when exactly did you realize that it had been 7 long years?
at about the time Emery told me. Just now.
You seem remarkably, stout-hearted and resolute after finding this information out. I would have somewhat believed you to be a little bit more, out of sorts.
Yeah, that's just kind of what he does.
Being out of sorts doesn't do me any good. I'm not certain I believe what's happening in the first place. A little bit of shock, and I'm the type to solve my problems mostly by bleeding them out until they stop being problems. And
I see.
I don't see anything to bleed right now, so I'm just kind of drinking.
Emily, did the priests of Pilo have anything to say about him? Did they find anything odd or strange?
There was an odd remark. Either he'd seen too much or not enough. On the way there, his mama seemed confused as to what the nature of Aubrey's being was. Given the circumstances and knowing the circumstances, I figured she would have been able to come to the conclusion that it was probably too much, being, trapped in a cage for who knows how long. And, sacrificed.
Would you like to possibly get some insight into what has happened to you?
Yes.
What say you would take him 4 hours to a particular ranch and introduce him to a certain woman? Do you recall the thing that happened in the basement? Where she gave you all a glimpse of something? Perhaps her skills might unveil some truth in this boy's situation.
Didn't they head due east?
Did she leave?
Well, she had finally managed to upset that bear you gave her just enough to walk in a direction.
Yes, I'm just wondering whether or not she actually left or just came back home. It was just a thought.
Yeah, wouldn't that bear, eventually disappear?
Well, she seemed to do some strange kind of, magics that turned it from, an incantation of a magical substance to, flesh and bone. And it became, more, solid and corporeal. Then she gave it a stupid name.
I mean, if nothing else, maybe she'll give him a really cool nickname.
Already did, I think.
Aubrey, do you know where nearby this place you came to with a bottle in your hands? Like an area, perhaps?
Yeah, and he kind of he has to orient himself. You'll notice the way he's orienting himself is from the tavern. And it's about that way. I know, because I knew this was the tavern that I needed to go to. But I got.
Why do you think you needed to come here, of all places?
That's a good question. I mean, if I was not wondering how I had just lost 7 years of my life, I might tell you it's because odds were that this is the last place that sold me a drink, but
Grok!
Apparently that's not what happened, so...
Grok! Do you recognize this fellow? Do you recall seeing him, maybe several years ago? Didn't remember you saying something about having an excellent memory of faces.
Never seen him before.
Do you remember what he ordered?
Him?
Yeah, him.
He points at Aubrey and says, nothing.
So you have never seen this man before?
So Aubrey was walking towards this place, not away from it.
Aubrey nods.
And how far outside of town were you when you came to, before you got?
I mean, I was hungover, but It was close enough that I thought walking here would be a good idea.
Perhaps there's something on the outside that would give us a clue of his area that he came to.
Yes, we can certainly go and take a look.
Like, that's an actual quote. Aubrey just casually says, Emery's doing the thinking thing.
I mean, I know you, Oberdon, want to go north to find your family.
That was the other thing I wanted to ask, Oberdon.
Yes?
If I'm not me, I'd prefer the Order be around to keep me in check, and you guys are the only Order here.
Well, as much as it pains me, I suppose you ought to accompany us at the very least. Should you do anything sinister, or anything demonic or unearthly sprout from your form, we'll more than happily put you down.
Thank you. What do you got, Em?
Just thinking.
Yep.
You entered the room, don't remember anything, and then woke up on the other side of it like it was a 7-year bender. There are magical ways to do that.
You mean this whole time there's been 7-year bender magic booze and you didn't tell me?
You were always busy doing it, so I figured I would just study it. I don't know. It seemed like a viable thing. Help your friends out.
I keep telling you, man, you can't build a good party out of a notebook.
But you can have a pretty good schematic that leads to a pretty...
He's gonna lean into Otto and be like, he hasn't changed at all.
No, it doesn't seem like it.
If you don't have a ledger, you can't order the drinks. If you don't order the drinks to the bar, you can't party at the bar because there's nothing to drink at the bar because it wasn't ordered and you didn't...
M.
What I'm saying is, it's possible that someone took your stead and it was framed that you were killed, which doesn't make sense unless someone in the Order was trying to hide it. And...
Well, if they killed me and framed you, somebody really didn't like us.
I mean, if you entered to get you get anointed, and then you don't remember, it's quite clear that someone was on the other side of that door and they just knocked you out.
I don't want to say I got knocked out I don't want to say, but I don't know. I'd much rather the story where I walk through the door and there's a giant demon and he eats my brain. Like, that's way cooler.
That's more your style. I have to leave that one first.
How about you? And he points at Otto.
Yeah?
And you. And he points at Hjorthurg. You want to go see if we can find out where it was I woke up?
Yeah, I mean, anything to... We've been around here for 2 days. I'm kind of getting a little stir-crazy, to be honest.
I'm going to guess that Oberdon wants to talk to Emery a little bit, and Emery is way more useful with his nose in a book than with his boots on the ground, so...
Thanks. No,
Yeah.
actually, thanks. Like, I know.
Yeah, if you need like a scout, pathfinder, muscle kind of guy, Otto's your man. Count me in.
Let's go.
Oh, and if you need anyone to shine that really cool armor and for it.
As we were talking about, shut up, Dudley. Dudley's now Wesley.
Doing that thing, I was like, I'll get a badge for this, right, Grok?
Let's at least be quick, before we're burning daylight at the very least. So
I like how you think. Let's go. And he'll just immediately just head out. Like, he puts the money for his alcohol on the counter and stands up and walks away and then stops. And then he'll walk back and he'll pound the rest of his splash. He just like chugs an entire 8-ounce glass of vodka, just gone. All right, let's go.
I'm right behind him.
I follow.
Seconds. Okay, it's getting slower.
So, so he heads out the door, leaving Oberdon and Emery there. Do you guys want to take the spotlight first?
We can, I guess. Doesn't matter to me. So, yeah, gonna be What else did you find out, Emery? There has to be something more to this than him just forgetting everything for 7 years.
I still need to. I was prepared with the wrong spells today. Come tomorrow, I'll be able to run a few quick diagnostics just to make sure that he's actually who he is. That being said, a lot of the things that I'm worried about wouldn't have been helped through the churchhood. It would have
No,
been
quite.
little. So he's alive. He's worried about being himself, which, I mean, he said, in all my years knowing him, he's done nothing contrary of himself.
Yes. I have no doubt that he actually was not indeed sacrificed. Or if he was, it was more of a spiritual sacrificing than a material one. Obviously his body is very much alive unless somebody with powerful abilities has returned him to life.
My other thoughts are, if it were the inner circle running this and they trusted him, they wanted him involved, to our knowledge. I mean, the story seemed to be a total betrayal, but if instead it was actually that they were going to sacrifice him and couldn't, if it were like a 7-year duration thing that they did, if they whatever they cast ended up putting him offset on time, that might be also part of why the results of the summoning are the way they are. Maybe it was offensive that they didn't actually pay what they were supposed to, or maybe someone stepped in who wasn't supposed to and took the spot. I don't know. Something went wrong. Which, on the one hand...
But yet, he was indeed summoned. So somehow they successfully did the ritual.
Yes.
Without Aubrey being involved.
Yes.
Perhaps, when it came down to it, despite all of his grooming, perhaps there was something he was lacking. There was something that made him inadequate for this particular duty of becoming the sacrificial entity for his,
it could be that between us, he's definitely not the most pure of a person. I don't know if you could tell by the way he drank that.
Clearly he has a thirst, for sure.
It goes a bit deeper than that. He's kind of... I hate to use the word vainglory and describing my best friend, but yeah, he's kind of a dick. And if they were looking for something pure, I mean, if your father's the head of the order and he only has good things to say about you and he's been grooming you for this spot for years, then if you're trying to think of the perfect example of something to sacrifice, it might have been...
So he was more of an example by theory than methodology. When it came down to it, he was not adequate and up for the task. I wonder what poor sap they found to fulfill that role.
The thing that gets me on that is, how would he have come back?
Well, if he was never actually sacrificed at all, then maybe he hasn't been anywhere. He's just been unable to recall the last 7 years. Perhaps he's been out there roaming around for 7 years without anything so sinister.
That brings me back around to my other thought is, there are spells and spell-like things that could place someone in a bit of a limbo or place someone outside of the realm, outside of the dimension to just stall them or something. Maybe it was out of fear for what was coming next.
Possibly.
Serve his happy-go-lucky demeanor, his winning attitude, as it were.
Or the other option is he was sacrificed and somebody has returned him from the dead and brought him back. Or brought something back, anyway.
Either way, we have a lot of...
Either way, it is a vile and disgusting affront to our holy order. If he was indeed dead, he should have been left dead, allowed to rest, not brought back as some monstrosity. Adalis would not approve, and neither do I. If indeed he has been dead once already.
So at that point, we're going to cut to the camera to the others. Aubrey keeps a good clip. This boy walks. He has some feet on him, all right? It takes Otto a little bit of concentration to, like, keep the pace. And Aubrey is walking in ceremonial full plate. I can imagine the monk has less effort, but looks a little sillier as his shorter legs are, like, keeping pace, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And right as we cut the camera from Oberdon saying, that is an affront. He should have been left dead, right? Aubrey is looking around. Going, how much you guys know about the order?
I've read a little bit in my time with Emery, whenever he's allowed me access.
He lets you look at his books.
Well, I borrow them, you see. Never own.
He never let me look at his books. I'm jealous.
Well, it's quite easier nowadays. He's been sad most of the time.
Yeah, he was always a little bit sad, but that... Something happened to his sister?
Something happened. Well, he was blamed for your death and all that.
He says, I mean, yeah, that'll upset him.
I would think.
He says, so I've known Emery since I was a little kid.
Sorry.
Like, Aubrey laughs. Like, Aubrey just laughs. He says, nah, I've known Emery since I was a little kid. I was the privileged little brat. My dad ran the order. Emery was the one who clawed his way up from the bottom. I got there because I was born there. He actually earned his way up. He is that smart. And there was, like, you burn the books, you make Emery sad. You kill Emery's friend, you make Emery really sad. Emery's not really sad. Emery's broken. That's not the kid I remember. I mean, it's him, but he reminds me and he motions around to, like, the countryside. He says, he's like a reflection of this.
So he wasn't always like that?
Nah, man, he used to smile.
What? No. Come on, man. No way. You were just locked up in that cage for 7 years. I think you're just imagining things. There's no way. Arthur, can you even imagine him smiling?
I don't understand you humans at all anyway. Smiling, not smiling, I miss my home.
Do you guys not smile?
Yeah, what? Do you? Is that a thing?
There's not been many reason to in my personal history, but that's neither here nor there. Are we at the place?
What if someone gave you, like, a really cool piece of stone? Like a really...
At this point, Aubrey is going to be like, I've made this mistake, and he'll, like, put his hand on Otto's shoulder and be like, I don't want to say that.
Why? Well, isn't that kind of your thing? Like stones? sort of different sort of like sediments or
He's gonna give Yorthric the look of like, I tried, man. Like, I tried.
I'm just trying to bridge the apparent gap that we have between us, okay? Why is that so bad? Why are you so hesitant to do that, Yorthric, huh? This is all about joining forces and becoming closer as a cohesive unit.
You do realize I'm more of a person than the stereotypical cliches you've probably heard about my kin.
Well, that's why I'm asking, isn't it? A simple yes or no answer could clear this right up.
Fine. If you gave me a very special kind of stone, I'd punch you in the face.
Duly noted. See, was that so hard?
Yes. Aubrey says yes. Like, Aubrey interjects and says, yes, Otto, it was. And that was amazing.
Now, all that said, are we at the place?
Yeah, is this looking familiar, or was there?
He says, looks around. Maybe. And then he'll walk over and he will find what's left of a tree. He says, I think I punched this.
Okay, can you like match your fist up to like an imprint or something, or?
He holds up his fist. Now it's just a stump, like it's been snapped off like by the wind, right? No, and he pulls out his extremely fancy sword.
Oh.
And then he no. And then he turns and he goes, oh, wrong tree. And he'll put the sword back in his sheath and he'll walk over to another tree that's like you're close to the woods and it's mostly fields and there's like trees scattered around. And he says, no, this is definitely the one that I punched. That makes way more sense.
So you remember yourself
Here.
coming out of a bender, supposedly, and you are compelled to go to the potato drinkery, winery or whatever. And
Potato drinkery.
That's amazing.
you take your sword out and for some reason cut at a tree.
No, I was on my way there and I got hit from behind.
Gotcha.
And it was enough to drop me.
And you
not
thought it,
before I took my swing.
and you thought it was a tree that did it to you.
No, I know it was a tree because it hurt when I hit it.
Okay.
The tree didn't hit me. Somebody else hit me. I hit the tree.
Oh, okay.
And that's important because unless they took it with me, and he finds and holds up a bottle, he says, it's still here.
I'm going to take the bottle from his hand and see what it is, if it has a label or an icon or writing or something.
It's written in common. It has a very fancy, like somebody has hand drawn with a quill a design on this label, and it has a year on it. The year is 8 years ago. Is the year printed on the bottle, right? And it's from a brand name that Hjorthar doesn't recognize at all.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna hand it to Otto.
Otto.
Yeah.
This is the most common wine in the entire empire.
Okay, it's like the barefoot wine of.
This is like the barefoot wine of the capital. Brewed at the capital, by the capital. Like this is what your dad would let you drink if you were gonna drink a lot and he didn't want to spend a lot.
Okay.
Right?
It's Everclear.
And it's specifically, you know this because the Empire has laws about like who can manufacture what wines and where and how long and so on. And you have to have brewed your wine for at least a year before you're allowed to sell it. So this is like the bottom shelf. He says, that's what I had in my hand.
Okay, and do we know if there's anywhere that sells it in this vicinity, or? I mean, from our travels previous to coming to West.
There wouldn't be anywhere that sold like this is because it's so bottom shelf. Each place is going to have like its own wines that it manufactures of this type. The bigger, more fanciful, more expensive wines are kind of like disseminated throughout the whole empire. But this is before like the way you and I experience like mass produced alcohol. There's Budweiser everywhere. # not sponsored. And they don't have that like that because that the transport is proportionally way more expensive to the intake.
Right, being such shitty wine, they wouldn't transport it abroad, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
okay. Your bottom shelf is a local everywhere you go. He says, that's what I was drinking. Well, I mean, not that. Obviously, it's been 7 years, but that's the same stuff I was drinking. I had, it was the crowning. I had the jitters. Some
Right.
liquid courage going, right? You gotta deliver all the lines and do all the stupid dance moves and...
So you had a bottle of that on your person when you entered through the door.
Yes. And I remember thinking that I should have probably put it down before I got to the door because Dad was going to be pissed.
But did you?
No, I didn't find a place to put it down, and it wasn't empty yet, so...
Okay, and I don't know your customs, and especially Adalis, although I have seen Oberdon recount countless names of people that he has apparently buried and or killed.
I guarantee that if you say something offensive, I deserve it, because I don't know anything about dwarves either, so go ahead.
Is it customary for people to get buried with their alcohol?
Not widespread. Like, maybe if you were a big famous brewer. More often what we'll do is we'll bury the dead and then we'll pour a bottle out over the grave.
Okay, so if you were sacrificed, the people who did the sacrifice, who would apparently be the inner circle of your dad and what Emery was saying.
Yeah.
Would they not give a damn about your body being of Adalis? Or like, would they just throw you aside, like, whatever?
Well, assuming my dad did do this, which, I don't know. You'll forgive my hesitance to blame my dad for the apocalypse.
Of course.
But assuming he did, then I would assume that whatever bastard it was that decided to unleash the Prince of 1,000 Blossoms probably wouldn't, at that point, actually care about the teachings of Adalis that he had raised his son in his whole life.
And then there's no... Well, you wouldn't know that answer, because I don't know that answer, and that's not knowable. I'm just going to start like looking around the tree and the other surroundings to see if it's a well-traveled part of the road or...
Nah, I mean, you're a little ways off the main road. There's a little trail that leads off into the woods from here, but it's not a very well-traveled piece of road.
Okay, so I'm gonna search around basically see if I see any other thing.
Roll me search.
All right, here's the 20, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 20 because you know how I roll really well, right? With a -1 modifier.
You
happen.
do.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Yes.
There's just a 20 on the other side. There's a 0 on the other side of that too.
Hachi machi.
That's so bad.
You find a very significant formation of mushrooms.
Ooh.
Okay, I really don't care about that, so I was just kind of kicking aside. It's like,
Exactly.
oh, yeah.
Nothing.
Okay.
You find the significant formation of mushrooms, you're like, whatever, you don't know what that is, you brush it aside, and everyone will have to spend the entire campaign wondering what that clue is about.
That's like the world-ending clue. Those mushrooms were part of a summoning ritual. Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna have like 3 walls covered in notes and yarn, and I'm just gonna be like, "What is it? What is it?" And then like I just back up, and it's just gonna be the shape of a cluster of mushrooms.
Hiltarn, is Otto, you said your name was, right?
Yes. Otto. You can call me Otto.
He says, what do you do? What's your thing?
Well, I have many things. Do you particularly mean in this instance or just sort of an overall spattering of skills that I have?
I'll go first.
Okay.
If you need something cut in half, I'm your guy.
Okay.
If you need something drank, I'm your guy. And you should probably keep me to those 2 things, because otherwise I am probably not your guy.
Okay. I could be many things that you could possibly think of. I'm sort of a jack of all trades when it comes to skills. So, what do you have something in mind you think I could be of service for?
And he smiles. He says, I think I understand.
Okay. Glad we're on the same page about that.
He says, hey, Arthur, you don't have any weapons on.
No.
You're not drinking.
Right.
You seem to be pretty on target. You come from a monastery?
Yes, I did.
He says, are the dwarven monasteries any different?
It was restructured from an old fort in my city by my father, who got it from teachings of you people up top, you humans.
This is
We modeled it that way and tried to repurpose it for our reason, our purpose. Yes.
He says, I had a buddy who did the monastery thing. I tried it for a couple of months, and then I didn't anymore.
Understood.
He says, but I think I get the gist of it.
Yeah, but so this bitch down below that Otto here helped kill.
Yeah.
She interrogated you, correct? She asked you questions.
Yeah, kind of similar to the questions that Oberdon was asking me, except for she did it with more pointy bits and fiery bits and more necromancy.
So it would be believable that you were dropped here by something that wanted you to be got by her. Right? Would that make sense?
I mean, ask anybody. I'm not the person with the most objective opinion of myself, but I would say that if you wanted me to get gotten, it'd take a hell of a lot more than that bitch to do the job. But yeah, if you were gonna fail at getting me gotten, that'd be one way to do it.
I guess we should ask if the tavern owner has encountered other faces in the. But he already answered that, didn't he? I thought. Didn't he, Otto?
Just that what? He'd never seen him before?
No, not Aubrey specifically, but other strangers in town.
I think that's what he said. Yeah, couldn't remember. He said he remembers everyone and didn't remember anybody along those lines.
This is okay. I gotta. He says the reason I asked if you knew anything about Adalis. I can give you the shorthand. If it's dead, it should stay dead.
Yeah, I tend to believe that too. Just not falling under your teachings.
We don't do any of that necromantic crap. We don't talk to the dead. We let the dead rest. They've earned their place. If I was sacrificed like Emery says I was, and if I'm going to be honest with you, I've learned over the course of my apparently longer than I've experienced career that it is a poor decision to not listen to Emery. And if I was killed, and I am back, I need you, and he points to the monk, to help Oberdon put me down, because that old man is not getting shit done.
Whoa, okay.
And then you, and he points at Otto, he says, I need you to make certain that whatever the hell I've done since you guys found me was somebody else and not me.
Okay, well, do we really need to go jumping? Why would we need to? I mean, just for some belief ideal? I mean, you can't live your life based completely off of that.
He says, actually, that's kind of the whole point. That's why we're the Order of Adalis. That's what the crowning was about.
Can't you just, change your name, your identity? Everybody thinks you're dead, apparently. Just go and live another life.
He says, if I did die, and I confess that's a big if, because apparently I just woke up one day and it was 7 years later.
Yeah, who said you died?
If I died. Apparently everybody said I died.
Well, they thought you died. I'm just saying, if you didn't, then this whole thing is for naught, right?
And if I did, I am currently the greatest affront to everything I have ever stood for my entire life. And the life that I spent standing against this means nothing.
Oh, you and Emery are more alike than you like to think, my friend, first off. Second off, how about we figure out, first of all, if you died or not? Then we can spin our wheels out of control like it seems like you want to do.
He actually says the words. He says, I just like to have a plan. I mean, not really a plan, but that's all.
All right. Well, I think step one of the plan is to find out if you died or not, because you look pretty alive to me. Do you have any like broken bones or any gaping wounds that weren't there 7 years ago?
Well, when you guys found me, I was a little out of it, so I wouldn't know what I was like. And then by the time the church was done healing me, no.
Hey, you seem fine to me.
Okay, Otto is right. We should go back to the tavern because I think Emery is the person who would be best equipped to determine whether you had in fact died or not. Also, don't discount the old man. He's done quite a bit for us already. He's quite capable.
The order wouldn't cut him loose to go do the knight errant job if he wasn't good.
The order fell apart after you did your thing and Emery was blamed. You do know that, right?
Yeah, I gathered. But there's a look you get after you've spent a good long while walking around tending to the dead. When your life is absorbed by the end of everyone else's. He says that there's a wisdom that comes with that, and he's got that in his eyes, even if he doesn't have it in his mouth.
I say we go back to the tavern. I found nothing here.
He'll motion to Otto. He says, let me see the bottle.
Oh, yeah, here. Hand it back.
Stuffs it in his pack.
Worth a shot, I guess, huh?
He says, thanks for the help.
We're going to head back to the tavern.
Yeah.
Aubrey will go back with you. He'll come in and he'll, Aubrey will lead the way because that is what Aubrey does. Mm-hmm. And he's walking uncomfortably fast for the others. And he will sit down directly in front of Emery, like across from the table, and he will put the bottle boonk, directly in front of Emery.
It's not supposed to be a vintage.
This is where I woke up. That was in my hand.
I don't think you're undead.
I believe you. I'll believe you more when you actually check.
Yeah, when I actually check. Just to be sure, I'd like to... You're going to say it anyway, but I'd like to tie you down tonight.
This is, I mean, you should get me dinner first, but...
Okay.
Do you know what happened to Lydia?
I haven't seen anyone. They
branded you and you survived.
Fled.
He says, charging in the opposite direction is usually a good move.
Yeah, especially when you're armed with clips for paper.
Your brother and I are professional morons.
Thank you. I haven't heard that in 7 years. Oh, God, it's good to have you back.
All right. Oberdon.
Yes.
You are the ranking member. I'm not to be trusted. What's the plan?
Maybe we should take you out to the stable and secure you out there, away from where everybody else is, just in case.
All right.
I'll watch over you, make sure nothing happens.
Emery.
I'll watch over him to make sure he doesn't fall asleep.
He detaches his sheath. This is the blade he's had. This blade was a family heirloom. He will hand it to you. He says, keep an eye on righteousness.
I still can't get over the name.
He says, I didn't name it, man.
I know.
I'd have called it something cool like Edge Thirst or something.
The sword of cutting, stabbing awesomeness. You got a Jack Black name.
Right.
The sword of destiny.
We got the sword.
This is all right, let's go get me tied up. And if I'm still alive tomorrow, well, if I'm alive, then we'll see how well that crowning went.
All right, well, we'll escort him out. And see, Pocket Seal and Ninja, thank you guys for hitting the resub button. Take your pants off, hit the hype. Yeah, we'll escort him out to the stable. I'm going to find an empty stall. Assuming that there's somewhere in there that people would tie a horse to.
Yeah.
I'm going to pretty much rope him up, and then with maybe about 6 foot of slack, secure the rope to that, and then go from that round a beam, and pretty much make sure there's no way that he's, even if he freaks out or whatever at some point and gets up and attempts to kind of leave, he won't actually be able to leave the stall, and we'll just make sure his hands and feet are tied well.
Use rope
Okay.
tags, my favorite.
We use rope, and I'm going to give you +2 because you are taking your time and offering multiple securances, and +2, he's not trying to fight you in any of this.
Why did it roll 2d4? That's weird.
That's really weird.
You're just that good.
I've literally even the roll says just a d20, but there you go. It was a 9, so +2 would be 11.
9 +2 +2 for him not fighting you as well was the other thing.
Okay, yeah, so
Total
13.
All right, and he'll kind of like tug. This is should be good enough. Good night.
I'm going to, as we were going out there, I was going to go ahead and get a bottle of that potato splash.
Yep.
And take that out there with a couple of cups. And sit down with him, and even though his hands are tied, I'm going to, against my better judgment, I'm going to tie his hands in front of him.
Right.
And tie his wrists so at least he can get his hands around a cup.
Yep.
To sip. And then I'm going to kind of get down on the ground with him and just enjoy a drink or two. And chit-chat about the order and see if I can... I don't want to role-play it out because it could take forever, but what I'm going to do is try to... if I can... I want to try to be very diplomatic with him and see if I can weasel out anything that he... Like, question him about the events leading up to it.
Yep.
To see if there's anything that happened to him that I was not aware of, anything that was kept from me, anything that might not have been made openly aware to the rest of the order.
Yeah, during the trials,
right.
Basically. You want to find out what they hid in the trials. All right, roll me diplomacy. And I'll give you a +2 synergy bonus because you're both from the same order.
Well, with the +2 synergy bonus, then it's a 12.
Nat 1? Or no?
Sorry?
Was that a natural 1 or just a low roll?
No, it was a 2, but it wasn't a natural 1. It was a low roll, but I've got a good diplomacy skill, so.
So his account basically matches up exactly with, because this stuff was over and over and over and over in the courts, right? And the trials dragged on and on and on. And so most of these details you've heard before, there's nothing particularly new. His testimony is even deviant within the expected norm, and you'll start to realize, like, oh yeah, so if that's his take, then obviously everybody else would have thought that was the case, right? Like, people thought that he was with this girl, and instead she had too much to drink, so he brought her home and wound up, like, having more drinks with her dad because he was so impressed that a guy had just, like, brought his drunken daughter home instead of, doing what his reputation was, which was to not be a nice guy.
Right.
And so like there's a couple of moments where you're like, oh, that makes way more sense than what everybody else is proposing, but there's nothing important or specific that pipes up.
So just kind of like, so I said I was gonna like go out there and kind of like make sure things were okay. I'm more stewing on thoughts, but I would like to at some point in the night sneak out a detect evil spell on him.
Okay.
Just to see if anything flashes.
No, at most, your detect evil spell will give you what you would expect for like, yeah, he was, the other day just like drenched in negative levels and evil energies, and has since been healed, and himself is actually radiating what you'd expect of somebody whose crowning had been successful.
Okay.
Which is actually a surprise because his crowning wasn't supposed to have been successful. He was supposed to have been sacrificed with the crowning as the bait.
Right.
So no funny business, apparently. Okay. Weird. Very weird. I was just going to keep that to myself. Because if anything did flare up, I was probably going to keep it to myself.
So Oberdon talks to him. He's more than interested in making certain that Oberdon is up to date. Aubrey has always been very astute when it comes to like matters of rank and respect. In part because he was always accused of, like, people always were suspicious that he wasn't going to be because his dad ran the order, and so he was constantly under like accusations of being the spoiled brat. And so he had to live his life with a little more strictness in that department than anybody else would, ironically. Am I hearing my phone buzz? Guess not. And the night will pass. He doesn't turn into a great evil monster. There are no signs of evil. He's not undead. The full moon does not turn him into a were-vampire.
All right. The only other thing, once I've talked to him about general things of the Order, I'm going to ask him if he knows anything about... I mean, I know he's probably not going to know anything about where my uncle is or whatever, but... want to find out if he knows anything that might lead to me understanding why my uncle never showed back up when he was supposed to come and take me off for mentoring, and why some other random night showed up and said, "Yep, your uncle's gone missing. Not going to talk about it. You're coming with me."
When was it that your uncle vanished before I opened my fucking silly intrigue generating mouth?
Okay, so in the backstory,
What the what?
Ginnerex, thanks for resub, buddy. 29 months. Take your pants off, hit the hype. Yeah, so as I was supposed to have been taken off for my training, I was going to join the Order because of my uncle. He was going to come and pick me up and take me to the Order, and he never came. This other person showed up. So this would have been quite a few years before the sacrifice and everything happened.
So Aubrey was about 23, 24 for his crowning.
Mm-hmm.
So about how old would he have been when your uncle went missing?
He would have probably been... When my uncle went missing, he'd have probably been a kid. So, okay. I'm more interested in knowing if prior to his crowning he knew anything or had heard anything about my uncle.
He says, what was your uncle's name?
Well, my uncle's name was Horatio Danforth. Horatio Danforth III.
Danforth. Yeah, my dad talked about Danforth a lot.
Yes, I am Oberdon Danforth.
So, the Danforth situation was something that my dad would occasionally be overheard angrily and loudly yelling at his subordinates about when I was growing up. I didn't ask because he wouldn't tell.
Yes, it was rather strange.
Danforth knew something that Dad wanted to know, or that Dad didn't want anyone to know?
Well, it would appear that my aged uncle is not too far from here. Not that long ago, he left this place and traveled to Worthington, from what I understand.
Yet another one of us with lots of questions and no answers.
Precisely. As soon as matters are resolved here, I have every intention of heading in that direction to see if I can find him. And if he happens to know something that nobody else knows, there may be more than one reason to find him.
For what it's worth, I'm an ass for holding you up.
Well, far be it from me to turn from the chosen path that Adalis has put you in my way. Rather than you be a hindrance, I choose to believe that you were sent to us for a reason.
This is, I can see why Emery likes you.
Emery doesn't like me. Not many people do. This is a facade.
Faith was always Emery's thing. I was more of a problems and solutions kind of guy.
Well, needless to say, despite the fact that our family has been serving the Order of Adalis for at least 3 generations, I myself, after the incident, finding that I was one of very few left alive, I gave in to a moment of weakness and found despair and misery, and for many years wandered around little more than a worthless waif of a drunk, until Emery came along and convinced me to pick up the mantle once again.
He wouldn't do that if he didn't like you.
Well, I don't know whether it's like or out of necessity, but needless to say, it was obviously Adalis' will that I found my way back to the faith, so here we are.
This is, you ask me, the only reason Emery needs anyone is because he's convinced himself he does.
He definitely has some, to say this politely, some self-confidence issues. He's an accomplished priest. He knows more about the Order than I do, at least on the spiritual side. But, I tend to give in to his counsel on such matters wherever possible. He may be young, but seems to know an awful lot. Most of the time his nose is buried deep into a manual or a book.
That's how he got where he is.
Precisely.
It's probably why they framed him. He might know something.
Either that or he was an easy mark. He is a very placid and meek individual most of the time. Perhaps they deemed that he would be appropriate because he wouldn't put up much of a defense for his own innocence.
Yeah, people just accept that the one living in the shadow of their older brother does whatever it takes to get noticed.
Well, for what it's worth, I think his brother is highly overrated. If Emery would ever rise out of his own shadows, he could probably exceed him in deeds and name.
This is, I've always told Emery that his brother and I were professional morons. I'm the professional, his brother's the moron.
Well, I have never met his brother, but,
Lucky you.
I think he reminds me of somebody. Or should I say, somebody reminds me of him. All I've heard of Emery's brother leads me to believe that he is somewhat very similar in actions, deeds, and word as a certain man that has joined us recently, Octavius. It's not that he's not capable, because he is. He just seems to be more interested in being recognized for his deeds than doing them. Lacks humility. Something that unfortunately one day he may learn a very grave and difficult lesson when it comes to such things.
This is, if I hadn't known Emery's brother, I'd have thought that was a guarantee.
Yes, you see. Everybody draws the same opinion. As I've said, he is capable. which is why he's still amongst us. I've seen him do, daring and, somewhat reckless but brave deeds.
Useful in a fight?
Yes, especially as a diversion.
This is, yeah, I got that from him. He's good at diversion.
Well, if I'm honest, in the last, when we rescued you, he probably did the lion's share of the work. Myself and, the dwarf found ourselves mostly incapacitated at the entrance to the cave. I eventually managed to get free, partially and mostly due to the, efforts of the dwarf himself. One of the problems, you see, when you walk around in a proverbial tin can, agility is not a thing that comes easily. Fortunately, it is something that...
I make it look easy, I'm told.
Well, Octavius is an incredibly athletic young man. And moves fast and quickly. Sometimes just too recklessly. Rushes towards the front.
This is, yeah, the need to do well. The need to be seen doing well. At one point, I thought I was different from that. For me, it wasn't just anybody who needed to see me, though.
I think all of us in our youth, especially when we had peers to appease, did things to try to, shine, as it were. I was no different as a young initiate.
This is, I started out and I was trying to impress... I was actually trying to impress Lydia. And then I got older and I realized I was trying to impress my dad. And then not long before my crowning, I realized it was neither of them. It was Adalis I was trying to impress.
Well, I don't know that you need to impress Adalis, more serve loyally and faithfully.
Oh, at this point, I think impressing him might be my only hope.
Well, I don't know about you, but I appreciate the information, and perhaps we should get some rest.
This is, yeah.
You don't snore, do you?
You might want to get some earplugs.
Oh, well, I snore, so we'll just see who drowns out the other then.
I pity everyone.
Alrighty, and then I'm just going to kind of plop up some of the horse hay behind my back to make it a little bit more comfortable and lean up against the side of the stall and try to catch some Z's.
So the glass of splashed potato I have roleplayed with tonight is a favor left over from my friend's wedding that I found the other day.
I thought it was a light bulb.
Actually, splashed potatoes.
Ooh.
Yeah, vodka. That's
Splashed
it.
potatoes.
There you go.
Potato vodka.
All right. So, that night, Aubrey doesn't freak. He snores a lot. Actually, you think he might give Rankin Samuelson a run for his money?
Oh yeah, that damn mule
If
is
the
in the
Harleys
stool
had,
as
if
well,
the Harley
so.
had been invented by now, you would have mistaken him for that. And now that you've heard it, you're pretty certain he might be what inspires it eventually.
That being said, there's a jumbo jet engine right next door. And in between explosive snoring energy.
So as you guys pack up for the journey that's to come, when you guys are headed north to Worthington, a village noted for some sort of legendary sword or some nonsense.
Yep.
I know Emery had
Worthington.
said he wanted to do diagnostics with his spells.
Yes.
Which spells would you like to run diagnostics on? I don't have an encounter prep, so technically you can just cheat and decide that you totally prepped all of the spells for diagnostics that you want.
Okay, so basically I was going to try turning him.
No.
Suck my holy symbol.
Okay, so that's a waste of turn undead, but he's not undead.
It's not undead.
Yay!
Is he a demon? What about demons? Is he one of those? Demons. Might be a demon. Checking for demons.
Splash holy
Check
water.
him for demon.
Checking for demons. Cover them in salt.
For demon, thanks. This is a high level spell drop for me, but whatever. Glyph of warding for demons.
And then tell him to try to slap you.
Yeah, glyph on the ground. Demons can't pass through it. Or
He
they'll
jumps on it. He jumps on it and stomps around on it like it's a bunk bed.
Well, this will be here for a while, so moving on.
That's good. If any demons walks, where are you doing this diagnostics? Like on the street?
I'm assuming it's just like right in front of the stables where.
So any worse demon shows
Yeah.
You've warded the stables from demons. Awesome.
Milk will be glad to know. Sass will be glad to know that no demon horses reside here.
Yep, there we go. We know it is safe for all horse kind.
All right. So the next day, after all the tests have been done, and Emery is pretty certain he's ruled out demons, he's ruled out witches, he's ruled out doppelgangers, he's ruled out illusions, he's actually ruled out pretty much everything other than mysterious resurrection or question mark. Like that's what you're down to.
And that's where it falls into a gray area with our entire everything, because if it's a mystery or miracle driven resurrection beyond the eyes of mortals, then it's not mortal meddling, it's the way of nature as defined by the gods. So that gets problematic.
Yeah, like the question of what do we do when a god brings somebody back from the dead, not at a mortal's request?
Because that's not dead. That's.
I suppose it would depend on which god.
Yeah.
Is another god doing the wrong thing?
At that point,
Don't all gods do the wrong thing?
The source.
bad deity.
Bad deity,
Bad.
And everyone turned to Limara and gave him a slap on the wrist, saying, "Don't surrender your sanity. That's stupid."
So at some point, Aubrey will like lean over at Otto. He says, "Otto,
Yeah.
you strike me as the kind of person who can think creatively."
Well, I mean, do you see what I'm wearing?
He says, "I didn't say why you struck me that way."
Why do you need something creatively taken care of?
No, I need creative theories.
All right. let me
Creative
clear my
fairies.
mind. Okay. Ready and go.
Okay, I am supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
7 years went by in a single day.
Uh-huh.
How?
You pull any swords out of a thing.
Yeah, did you just forget maybe?
He
Like-
looks at Emery and says, I mean, not literally, and he motions to his sword. He says, but that's the whole story of righteousness.
I'm gonna check it for a purple handguard and a little like eye-shaped gem in the middle.
Congratulations, you have the Master Sword.
Okay, so this all makes sense. This is just Ocarina of Time, guys.
The Prince of a Thousand Blossoms is secretly Ganon.
Oh! Just snaps and voips right into the encounter and kills us all.
So during this, we're walking north, right?
Yeah,
We
you guys are
started-
headed. This is all. You've probably got like Dudley is riding on the neck of Rankin Samuelson.
Like hell he is. My mule is for carrying my shit, not a small
no.
shit of a boy.
Dudley would be riding along Alexa.
Yeah.
Alexis.
Yeah.
Alexis. Stop
He's
that.
got a
yeah,
flying
that's
carpet, damn it. He's not riding my mule.
Damn, Gore, savage.
Hey, Rankin, you want to race?
So he'll like be walking, and then he says, "So wait, if the crowning, I don't remember if it happened or not."
So I'm working with two theories here, if you'd like to hear them.
Lay 'em on me, Otto. I want to know
One-
what you have to say.
You said you got hit on the back of your head, correct?
Yeah.
Maybe you lost your long-term memory. And two, now hear me out. What if you were a clone?
No.
What do you mean?
Oh,
no?
no.
Doppelganger, right?
Not so much a doppelganger, just what if she was able to clone you, so that's why you yourself don't remember your past, but you still have that embedded deep down in your I was going to say genetics, but we don't know what those are in this world.
We don't know what cloning is.
Well, yes, you do. Cloning works.
Emery,
Okay.
do you remember the story that they told us about the necromancer that infiltrated the order? Like hundreds and hundreds of years. It's like one of those basic legends that they teach us during security class, right?
Yeah.
And he sent himself out. There's a word for it. He duplicated himself and let the order kill his duplicate. So nobody would suspect him. And then he
just knew powerful illusion magic and sent a revenant, but yeah.
He says, would a revenant, have we ruled that out for me?
Yes. You're not undead.
Not undead.
Well, would a clone necessarily be undead?
He says, Emery is the brains.
What is that supposed to mean?
It means I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Talk about, and it's bizarre to me that he knows, is the guy in that monastery with the people. I did a dissertation about it. Let me see. Basically, if you split certain plants off at a certain point in their roots, you can get a complete copy of it. We didn't rule out plant life, so do you like the sun?
This is what little of it appears to be left.
Yeah, no, I don't think it would be.
He says,
no. Keep going.
Hey, you asked for crazy theories. I'm just coming up with them off my head.
The more crazy, the better, because it gives me more to do.
This is, you're keeping him occupied, you're entertaining me, and if he's not occupied, I'm not entertained.
Here's a crazy theory. What if this is all just a giant mistake?
This is like a mistake, like...
Yeah.
That's kind of the first theory we had, but...
I didn't hear anybody say
like,
anything.
what kind of a mistake?
Well, like, you said someone attacked you, maybe they got the wrong guy, and because that happened, they had to sort of cover up for what accidentally happened. So, it's just kind of this whole convoluted chain of events that happened that set off this entire thing, and it was all just kind of a whoopsie daisy in the beginning.
We're gonna find out that the entire campaign plot is that 7 years ago, as the apocalypse went down, Otto mistook Aubrey for somebody.
I'm just saying, it could be. I don't know.
He says, the hell do I know? I'm supposed to be dead.
That's okay. So have we established why? Okay, let's get our investigative hats on here. Has anyone asked you why someone would want you dead? Have we addressed that?
The running theory is that I was the sacrifice that was needed to summon the Prince of 1,000 Blossoms.
Do we know why it would be you?
If I had to guess, it's because I'm my father's son.
Which would make it the greatest cost differential.
Do you know someone who had an affinity for the Prince of 1,000 Blossoms, or mentioned him a few times and said all we need is one sacrifice to bring him back?
Yeah, there always was Gary talking about how, I can't wait to bring back the Prince of 1,000 Blossoms so he can destroy the whole...
Let's go.
The problem is he wasn't supposed to destroy anything. He was supposed to help.
At most, the lore readers, but they're not there to summon. They learn the things so that we don't have to. They're very much the wading into the darkness so that others don't need to taint themselves by knowing the unknowable.
Okay, wait. So, this Prince of 1,000 Blossoms was originally supposed to help, correct?
He says, I mean, according to what Emery has said, and what I've been told, yeah, he was supposed
to. Would summoning a guy who is supposed to help actually require a sacrifice?
He says, well, the Prince of 1,000 Blossoms was locked away So it was more like a jailbreak and less like a, sending a letter requesting aid.
Okay, right.
Locked away for
this is a cosmic jail. Like, I want you to imagine the Acheron and all of its, shardy goodness flying around and stabbing and stuff, and trying to get through that times like 15 is like one lock out of 10 to get to it.
He says, he was locked away for. It's a long story. His dad is supposed to have been the one who created everything, and he then apparently was so bad that Dad locked him away. So the creator deemed him not worthy of creation, and the Order disagreed with the creator.
Bad move.
He says, I'm not even certain I really buy it, to be honest with you. But you guys would know better than I would.
Wait. One thing our order does very poorly with, and I tried to bring this up once, and that might actually be why I was framed, was we tend to really hold pride in the order until late. Odds are, if this really is a cover story, it's because the involvement's possibly much worse than we hopefully reached out to something we didn't understand.
It pisses me off right now that you're you. Because I can't tell you that that's not like my dad. Because you know better.
Yeah. There's... shit.
On that sobering note, I suppose I should try and find out if my crowning happened.
Yeah.
Does your order have any actual enemies? People who before all the shit hit the fan?
Well, many enemies.
He says, yeah, we tend to hunt down and eradicate people who tamper with the natural order. Necromancers. Black wizards.
And wives, widowed, lost children.
So which is the big ones?
Well, anyone that would promote the use of the undead as a tool, or the summoning of dark forces and demons.
There are Newell, even the rule sometimes.
Well, it would make sense for a sacrifice to be required for those kinds of rituals, especially if it's to bring about this apocalypse that has affected us all and seen a rise in, like that bitch we killed, or you guys killed, and I watched die.
Well, yes, but the sacrifice was not meant to be a sacrifice to the prince. As mentioned before, it was more of a way to remove the lock to allow him to return. It was a fail-safe that was put in place.
Aubrey has, he heard a thing, right? And he's been while Oberdon is talking, he's trying to process this. Wait, Emery. You're saying there are more necromancers right now?
Yes.
How many more?
Well, since the lands have been taken by basically the undead, they've only grown, really.
Now I know what you meant.
Yes, they are running rampant.
You told me I'd find a way to like this.
Oh, you sick bastard.
This is nothing to like. It just means we have a lot of work ahead of us.
He says, I love work.
Good, because you're going to get your fill of it.
This is... Here's hoping I can't.
Oh,
And then he looks at his armored gauntlet. He looks at Emery. He says, you forgive me, I've been dead for 7 years. Alful Gorad or Alful Gorod? How are you supposed to pronounce it?
Eva?
The calling. The calling of the Night Errant's beast.
Oh, God. I'm gonna hand him his sword back.
He'll take the sword and he puts it back in his shoulders and he points and he says, "Al Thulgarad rocks," and there will be like a slight rumble and a little shockwave of like white and blue lightning, and there will be a to call it a rhino would be dishonest, but it's a big hulking beast of war with armor that matches his own.
An impressive mount indeed.
That wasn't supposed to work, Emery. I don't even remember my own crowning.
No.
I was crowned.
Yeah.
Well, apparently.
I missed something here.
You can't do that unless you reach the status you're given the power to... Which also means the order is still much more functional than we thought.
And the creature will like turn his head and look. He says, "Yeah, I've been fucking waiting."
And it speaks. How novel.
He says, "Yeah, they didn't give us schools in the celestial planes or anything." I'm a
And he's
miracle.
sarcastic. Also curious. If my mule could speak, they would probably be great friends.
He looks at the
I
donkey
doubt
and
that
says,
for some reason.
"Just what I need is friends."
Oh, don't worry. You're probably not going to make any with that attitude.
He says, "Obs, what took you so damn long?" Apparently I died. So? What do you mean, so? You got your crowning, right? Yeah? You gonna let that stop you? And he'll just start walking off, and Obs will be like, we're going this way. We're going there. You'll call me back when you need me. We
You don't actually need him. I just got a point there.
Emery,
Yeah.
do something.
Thank you for your service.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you,
No
Henry.
call.
Thanks a lot.
You can't just summon for no reason. He has a job. He's been waiting for a job. Okay. I'll get to work finding the next necromancer, okay?
Well, first let's find the Oberdon's relative. Get more answers. And
Oh god, I asked you this earlier. What was your last name, Oberdon?
Danforth.
The Danforth case. All right. Otto,
Yes, sir.
you got a drink?
Do I have a drink?
Do you? You're
I
the
don't
one with the
think-
sheet.
I don't think I do. No, I don't think that I do. You mean like of the alcoholic sorts or something a little more hydrating? Well, I don't have either, so it doesn't matter anyways.
I'm dying of thirst over here.
Oh, does anyone have a potato?
I'm sure one of us does.
I think at one point one of us grabbed a sack of potatoes and it's probably on the
we
mule.
actually do have potatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we do.
Yeah. It's
guys
on
gonna
the
choose a
on
potato?
the donkey. Rankin Samuelson's got a sack of potatoes.
The donkey is like, I have them.
Is there enough room on the flying carpet for me to set up a tiny little ritual space?
Yes.
While we're
regret
traveling,
making this
Rituals,
room later, but yes.
while we're traveling, I'm setting up the ritual on the back of this flying carpet so that I can convert this potato into, well, I'm uncreative, so splash potato.
Splash potato. The legend of splash potato shall spread across the land.
I'm gonna transmute it. Nothing crazy yet, just turning potatoes into vodka like a regular old priest.
Okay, so we have a couple of days of travel ahead of us.
Mhm.
Aubrey will eventually run out of things to talk about.
Oh, thank God.
He will obsess for a while that his crowning worked, like this has blown his mind. You're getting the idea that Aubrey didn't actually expect his crowning to happen. Like, he is somehow surprised by this. Kind of like the kid who, like, passes the grade when they were certain they failed because they got a crap crap grade on the final. And they just knew it was all over, and then they got slapped with the news that they graduated anyways.
Whoa, what?
What? Like,
It's like Shazam.
he'll just kind of like be stunned on that front. I imagine that Duds will be fascinated by the potato transmutations.
Seems about right.
And it'll be Oberdon leading the party north to Worthington.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know if and when we get level with the Crimson House.
The Crimson House will be prepared before next week.
Sounds good to me. And that literally does bring us to end of showtime, so...
Woo! Nice!
Noish.
You just described my senior year exactly.
Excellent. Alrighty, well, good deal. Yes, that will bring us nicely to the end of our show. So, if you have any questions, we'll do a quick Q&A.
And anyone who voted nobody.
And, the one of you that voted nobody
Yay!
are picked as a winner, and it is Azanthrax. So there we go. Azanthrax.
I know who I'm picking on next adventure. I wrote it down.
Yay!
I'm picking on Otto next.
Yay!
Otto's turn.
Okay.
Next time on 1,000 Blossoms, and then you get pictures of Otto being like,
Yeah. I like it.
Hi there, I'm Gorbad, normally the resident dungeon master here on How We Roll, but for this particular campaign, I'm going to be taking a seat on the other side of the table to become a player. If you'd like to keep up with all things How We Roll, you can follow us on Twitter at How We Roll, check us out on Facebook at How We Roll, and you can also follow us on YouTube, and you've guessed it, at How We Roll. We also have a website, www.howweroll.com. Now, if you want to keep up with me personally, you can follow me on Twitter at Gorbad, and don't forget to check out my blog, www.thedmblog.com, for all things Dungeons & Dragons related, both for players and DMs alike. We will see you next time.
Sup, I'm Evil Squeegee, they, them, and as you can tell by now, Gorbad has made the mistake of letting me Dungeon Master a campaign on his channel. If you want to follow me on my channel, where I make the mistake of letting me Dungeon Master games on my channel, you can find that at twitch.tv/evilsqueegee. If you want to follow me on Twitter, at twitter.com/evilsqueegee, you can find inclusivity rants, gaming rants, rants about rants, and rants.
Is it on? It is. Greetings and well met, my friends. It is I, the great and powerful Thelonious Conch. My good friend the Snuggler has asked me so kindly to step in. If you want to keep up with what he's doing in the world, you can follow him at two places. The first is on Twitter at MattySweetTweet. And the second, of course, is Instagram, where you can follow him at MattyQuickPick. And I see what he did there. Clever boy. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time, and don't forget the lavender.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode of How Reroll. My name's Jane, and you can follow me on Twitter at Jane on Twitch with a 0, not an O. I also do stream like 3 times a week now, so you can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/JaneIvana. What do you gotta say, Norman? Sorry. Peace, suckers.
Hey y'all, Shagget here. I play various characters on How Reroll. This is the first campaign where Gorbat is a player, and I very much would like to enact my player vengeance on him, since he's usually the DM and I can't do that really, because he'll just, wish it away and make it irrelevant. Follow me on Twitter at Eneb_Convos, and we can start a dialogue to find out the creative, awesome means that my character will get his character killed. Because isn't that what every player wants to do? I think so.
Hi, it's me, Satchmo, player How Reroll. You follow me.